Anti-Afro Svengalis. Now I'm rested up. Now I can come back and do a video how I intended to do a video. And you see the title is I sure am going to be naming names. And let me tell you the reason for that. Number one, I feel it's long overdue. Number two, many of you have requested over time that I address certain situations, certain individuals, and even when you do that, there could be some confusion about who is being addressed. And I thought, yes, this is the time I need to say some things. I'm going to get it right out there. I'm not interested, nor will I engage in any sort of debate or discussion with any of these individuals. I want to make sure you're aware of where I stand, my position, because it's important. And for this video, you're welcome to name names if you like. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that is fine. I'm going to be addressing Umar Johnson in future videos, but here I am. I'm going to mention names, but this video is for me to get some things out that I think I've held in for far too long, and then I am moving on. Here we go. So the first person is binary code. The issue I have with binary code is that binary code has been present in many live streams. He has made comments under many people's pages, and it is very deceptive for you binary code, knowing that you have sat on these live streams with TCTV, D. Durrell, Shawshank Raw, all of those who have made just horrendous. It's beyond description. You know what you have done and where you have been. Yet you show up in live streams of people who were targeted for attack. And I think it's pretty vile that you call yourself a troll. I don't think you're a troll. I think it goes much deeper than that. Why you feel you need to torment people. Because for you, I see that you enjoy the fact that somebody may not be aware of what you've done. And you being present during a discussion about people being targeted with stories that are completely and totally false and sitting there laughing about it, and you feel some sort of victory because you now have a YouTube page and people are coming there, and a lot of them don't even know what you've done. What lies beneath all this, I'm not going there, but I think it's pretty just destructive what you're doing. And what for me was very offensive, that you interviewed Rev G. So here goes, people, here goes proof again, which is so ridiculous that I have control over Rev G and KKC and Lennon Honor. Rev G was going to do that interview. Rev G did not know the extent to which binary code had been in these chats, because Rev G has been distracted with a lot of different things. So when I was trying to explain to him, Rev G went forward. But when he realized the magnitude of binary codes being out there, it is a sense of, just on a human level, betrayal. So this is my friend that was impacted by this. Then you went over to Rev G's channel when he was talking about his experiences of being under attack. Callously, you left a message saying that you supported him and his wife. There's nothing good behind your intentions. You can't explain it away. Supposedly, the role that you have in the real world where anti-bullying is legislation, and you support and you collude and you hang out with people who have engaged in the most offensive, abusive behaviors in this, what do you call it, space that addresses Umar Johnson. I don't know. To me, how do you sleep at night? That's the question. I'm quite sure feeling a sense of power over all this is satisfying. But what happens when you really think this is a satisfying feeling? Engaging in, trickery, deceit, lying, because that is lying and that is deceit when you have sat up on live streams and essentially cheered on. And please don't get technical with me about cheering on people. If I'm sitting around and somebody is attacking someone with sexual jokes, gay sexual jokes, and the man is married, there is absolutely no evidence of these men being engaged in any gay relationships. Trust me, if there had been a newspaper article on Rev G or Lennon or any of these men who are heterosexual family men, go for it. Nobody can tell someone they can't comment on a news story. There is nothing, there has been nothing, there never will be nothing along those lines. But sitting around while this is going on and you're not saying, number one, I'm out of here. Number two, this is wrong. You're just as responsible. And then you big up one of the main culprits who engaged in this behavior. So when I see you appearing in spaces where I consider friendly, the feeling that I get is that you have ulterior motives and you're there for a reason other than to just participate in that live stream. That's my view about binary code. D. Durrell, I don't even know what to say to you. I think the fact that you were disciplined by the board speaks volumes. You have tried your hardest for some strange reason to get me to talk to you. I have never even had a conversation with you, but you made up all kinds of lies about me. And let me explain something, people. D. Durrell said that I contacted him 40 times. He has 40 messages. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, I think I said this in fragments, but I'm going to be 100% honest about how many times I have posted a message in D. Durrell's live streams. A total of one time, and that was an inadvertent message. When I was capturing on silent, because I don't have the volume on, messages, incendiary, discriminatory, abusive messages. I was also in someone else's live stream moderating. Different people had gone out to different live streams because these things have been occurring, and law enforcement is asking for proof. Bring us proof. I'm being honest with you, people. So I was typing a message, and unfortunately I typed it into D. Durrell's live stream. That was the only time. And let me tell you what happened. When I was requested to give information to the police, that was the missing piece about how many times have I been in these other live streams that are associated with the person that is attacking Rev G. I said never. That's because I did not even realize it until later on that evening that I had typed in that message. So I told the person whose other live stream I was on, they said, oh, don't worry about it. I didn't even recall that. So when they went searching, they found this message and confronted me with it. And I'm trying to think, why would I do that? Why would I type a message? And I remember reading the message and I realized what had happened. They identified, obviously by my message, the person's live stream that I was moderating for. And it wasn't even the same topic. So we have 39 other times that D. Durrell is claiming that I communicated with him. Those communications were never found by the police. The one communication was, but obviously he is lying. Why he insists on doing this? Can I answer this question? No. All I know is that his harassment became so bad, I don't even want to tell you the extent to which his harassment caused so many problems. I won't go into that. To the point I did file a complaint against UD Durrell with the Texas Licensing Board. I had every right to file that complaint because of your diagnosis video, which was totally unethical. You never met me. You never spoke to me. You do not know anything about me. You keep making up these sexual type of stories. It's bizarre and it's sick. Yes, I can say that because it's all false. There's no possible way you can speak on me. You just cannot. So I guess for the fact that I refuse to talk to you, you're going to make up all these lies about me. There's so much more people, including making up a phantom account, whoever made up this phantom account and was commenting on D. Durrell's live and paying people, whoever initiated it. We have the email to file complaints against me. It just goes on and on and on. You deserve to be disciplined. If I had been doing what you're doing, absolutely, I should come under sanction by the board. Fact of the matter is, you put yourself out there as a therapist as part of what you do on YouTube. I do not. I don't have my name. I have no parts of my name. I've recorded no videos identifying myself as a therapist. You have. So that puts you in a vulnerable position, which many people try to warn you in your comment section. So you have an outcome that you suffered a permanent sanction on your license that has nothing to do with me. The primary complaint was the billing, but it is a matter of record that you were warned. And I do have the letter. You were warned to cease your behavior that you were engaging in as it concerns me and other people about this diagnosis. You cannot diagnose people you haven't even met, you know nothing about, especially if you're saying my family had some beef with Umar Johnson because he owes them money or something. This is just completely made up. What kind of person is going to completely contrive a just complete cockamamie cuckoo story? You can answer that. You stay where you are. I've always stayed where I am. I have never tried to impersonate you. I have responded because you are bringing this profession into a state of disrepute. I can respond without even mentioning your name, but for some reason, you can't do the same. Well, hopefully you have learned enough to the point where you will be prompted, because no type of interaction with you is going to resolve anything. I would have to utilize the law, to access the law to protect me. And that's what I'm prepared to do. Stay over where you are. Pretend I don't exist. I am doing the same. Okay, Don Murray. This is the person who says Umar owes him $3,000. Okay, so I am not a person, I never have been a person who likes to disclose what somebody sends me. But let me tell you this, I have to say this. There's been, I guess some people saying that I was in collusion with Don. Okay, so Don, if you're listening, you know who initiated contact with who. You initiated contact with me. And obviously, what I was told by people who support me, they were correct. I wasn't listening at first, and I was forced to listen. They were very clear that TCTV had set everything up for you. And so as you sent me emails, essentially every cycle of communication, TCTV was posting the info in a what is it, a live chat. It's not here on YouTube. So I kept responding to you, and the messages were just right there on cue. But obviously, I'm never going to agree to anything that you had requested that I agree to. I'm not on YouTube to come onto a platform to, what do you call it, expose people. Anything that I discussed with you, Don, you know it was legal. And of course, you were asking for money. And I made it clear there is nothing illegal about paying somebody like Cash App or PayPal for content, but I was not going to be involved with putting anybody on blast. And I know this is someone that you, TC TV, have a big issue with. That's never been my concern. My issue was always Umar. And since the person that you had mentioned, the person you had mentioned had engaged in some pretty atrocious behaviors, but none of us over here on the Umar's or fraud content were really going for this person because we had much bigger issues to deal with. So I said to you, if you have information, you want to send it to me, I am going to verify that information is accurate. Then we'll talk. There is nothing illegal about that. You never came through. You were upset because I didn't give you money. And then these messages appeared in, not messages, TCTV would make reference. But if you ever wanted to release those emails, I mean, I wouldn't care. There's nothing I did that was illegal. I just simply refused to participate in any sort of expose somebody on a live stream. That was never going to happen. I hope you do follow through with your lawsuit with Umar. I'm always going to advocate for a legal remedy. If you feel someone owes you money, I'm glad that you backed off of those other threats. Things like that don't lead to anywhere but trouble. I hope you pursue your legal course with Umar. Even if you weren't able to serve him, you should be able to find him. He's going all across the U.S. You should have no issue getting him served if you really want him served. Seek assistance from legal aid. They can help you. Good luck to you on that. Now, the other person I want to mention is Max V. Max V, when I first started listening to your videos, I enjoyed your videos. And that's why I had no problem posting. Your comments were very entertaining. They were on point. But then I saw you became very inconsistent with your statements. You have a right to be inconsistent. Free country, you can have a position 1 second, change your position. The other second, you can. However, I didn't like the fact that when you had that big blow up with TCTV and the smoke god was on that panel, he had a gun. He racked the slide of a gun in that live stream. And you did make some pretty serious comments that easily could have been interpreted as threatening towards TCTV. And you talked about your neighborhood and what happens to people where I come from. So not long after that, now, honestly, I think you still might have that live stream, and I'm almost positive I have that clip where that occurred. I'm like 98% positive I do. You can always repost that video. Even if YouTube took it down, there should be some way that you recorded it. I don't know how the live streams work. I may be wrong about that. But then you came on later on and you were making statements that you thought, you said very specifically, TCTV didn't have me swatted. And then you started naming other people that are associated with TCTV, stating they didn't swat you either. And then you came to California and start mentioning California, and people were contacting me And they had the strong impression that you were trying to put me into the situation. And it wasn't until further down the line you said it was a man. But it was far too late for that. I don't think that was a responsible thing to do. If you know who did that, why not come out and say it? I would never give an impression that somebody had engaged in this type of behavior. If I had the information, I wouldn't leave it to question, especially since you started referencing the state that I'm from. So it gave people the impression that I was involved, which obviously I wasn't involved in any way. Whenever I have made any sort of report to law enforcement, I give my name. And if I'm going to come on and report something to that extent and I have the info, I'm going to tell who the person is. So there will be no mistake about it. And so the other issue that I had was when you really downplayed, and it really felt that you devalued my rights to seek assistance in the event that I'm threatened. And your comments, I felt, were callous and insensitive. You were saying things like, this is just YouTube, you shouldn't call the police. I mean, there are many statements you made. And I just think, how can you tell someone else whether or not they should contact law enforcement? It doesn't even matter what's going on in our society. Every person, let me back up, let me clarify. It doesn't matter, I'll be specific, what is happening between the police and our community, black men and our community, police shootings in our community. That does not dilute my right to seek police assistance in response to threats. That is the only approach I have accessible to me. I'm going to use it. We obviously have two different definitions of protection. I wouldn't even have a relative step to somebody physically, especially a stranger. Are you serious? So I don't know where you got the impression that I was expecting you to take up arms for me. But keep in mind, like I stated before, protection is a continuum. So there would be a difference between being silent, watching, making no comment, and then you have the very huge leap of telling someone they have no right to feel angst or worry, or they're making a big deal about something, and worse, how you feel about it, that you wouldn't call the police. So basically you're sending a message that people who are threatened with violence should just tolerate it because it's YouTube. That's where I had a very big problem with what you stated. And then you got upset when I said that you were a hypocrite. You got offended. Well, I understand you got offended, but when you experienced a threat, you didn't assume the same position. You interpreted it is very serious, and you took action to address the issue. But you didn't think that you didn't think that Rev G should be doing that. And like I stated in the video, contacting an attorney is pretty much akin to contacting the law, because there would be circumstances wherein the lawyer would have to report things to the police. It just depends on what is stated. But a lawyer is an officer of the law. Either way it goes, no one has a right to tell someone else whether or not they should involve law enforcement. Bottom line, none of this is going to be handled on a community level. If someone decides they don't want to involve law enforcement, they don't want to involve law enforcement. But they cannot impose their will on someone else. That's why I had an issue. Everyone, I think I'm coming up on 25 minutes on this video, and I do have a few more names I'm going to mention, so I'm going to do a part 2. I hope you hang around. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.